Brought some handouts. What I'm going to talk to you guys about today is weed killer and fertilizer.
Yeah.
Pass this around.
What I always scratch my head at.
And the reason why we're going to talk about this, I get this question asked a lot. First of all, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. My first job was McDonald's, where I learned most of my customer service skills. And then after that, I have a 10-year construction background with the laborers union. And then after that, I got a job working for the state as a crew supervisor, training young people between 18 and 24. They had a choice of being in the program or going to jail. So that shows you what type of characters I had to work with over the years. I've been commercially doing landscaping for about 15 years now, a little over 15 years, full time. And before that, even when I was working with the state, I was working 410s, and then the other 3 days I was landscaping anyway. So I figured, hey, you know, I like it better, you know, being my own boss, set my own hours, being responsible. So I did it full time about 16 years ago. And so what I want to talk to you about the fertilizer, and a lot of people don't understand this. On that first sheet that I gave you, it's got the Scotch starter fertilizer bag on there. There's these numbers here. If you guys ever noticed if you ever bought some fertilizer, there's 3 numbers there. And those numbers are very important. Like for this for the starter fertilizer, if you're trying to grow green grass, it's really important that this first number here is nitrogen. That's what that stands for, nitrogen. Nitrogen is what greens your grass, makes it nice and green. So the higher the number, the more nitrogen that's in that fertilizer. And then the second number, 27 there, is potassium, it's phosphorus. No, exactly. And K is the last one.
This is what makes it explosive, too.
Yes, building a bomb or something like that, yes. And it's really important to have that because for your root development for your grass, you need that phosphorus to strong roots. So you have a stable grass when you're growing it. And then the last one, potassium, is for the well-being of the plant, like for the structure of the plant, the overall makeup of the plant. And so those numbers are very important. And so if you ever bought fertilizer and you say, hey, I want to green it up in like 2 weeks, as long as you water it well, you want that first number to be real high. I've seen it as low as 10. I've seen it as high as 30. And so the higher the number. But to get a well-rounded fertilizer, you like these numbers to be at least 15 across the board, 15 or higher. Okay. And so if you have any questions on that, I'll get to that later.
So this one's not that.
Right. Yeah, it's a starter fertilizer. So you want the roots to be real high for the roots. And also about starter fertilizer, it's really important. Like if you plant new grass and you're using a fertilizer, you definitely want starter fertilizer because it won't hurt the grass seed when it's growing, and it's real good for the roots. And so I've had people say, hey, Byron, what's wrong with my yard? And what they did is they didn't use a starter fertilizer. They used a well-established fertilizer for grass that's well-established, and it burnt up the grass seed, and it didn't turn out well. And so basically we had to just scrap it all and do it all over again. And so it wasn't cost-effective, that job. And then I'm going to talk about the weed killer. I brought a bag in. I wanted to pass you. I'm real good at just looking at things, and it goes better for me actually seeing it. So I purchased some things that I want to pass around the room. This Roundup, you guys probably have heard of Roundup before. I want you on that front of the bottle and the front of that bottle, they have what they call an active ingredient, and then they have other ingredients. Now, the active ingredient is what you want to buy when you want to actually kill the weed. The higher that is, the more effective it is. That bottle right there, that's a generic form of Roundup made by Home Depot. It's 41% the active ingredient that actually kills the plants that you're trying to get rid of. This one right here costs $4 and it has 2%. Now, which one would you think you'd rather have if you were trying to kill the weeds? You definitely don't. Exactly. Exactly. And it's funny because a person would say, well, Byron, I bought some Roundup. It's, it's a top of the line stuff. And I go, well, is it the commercial kind? That's more commercial because anything over 15% active ingredient is going to be real effective. That's 41%, that one right there. Now, that one right there, if I would have bought the commercial Roundup in that size, would have been $48. Okay, that costs $4.
Wow. What costs $4?
That bottle right there, because it only has 2% active ingredient. And so if it was a higher concentrate, let's say it was 20%, that would have cost $48 for that bottle right there. And so that's why there's a big difference in price. And so if you ever think you're really getting a good deal, you say, hey, I got some Roundup and it only costs $4 or $5. Check the front of the label where it says active ingredient and you'll see it's only 2%. I've seen it as I seen one that was like 1% active ingredient. So you almost got to spray that whole bottle just to kill that one weed. And the cool thing about getting the commercial stuff that has over 15%, all it has to do is just get near the weed. What it does is it gets into the leaves, goes down the stem, and then kills the roots dead in about 1 to 2 weeks. And it's totally gone. With the 2% solution, if you just barely get it and go to the next one, it usually doesn't even die. And you wasted your time, and your customer's upset at you because you didn't kill the weeds. And so, it's really important that you look at that front of the label, and anything that you buy will have that information right on the front. And then also, if I can see that bottle there, on the back of the product, it gives you information, detailed information about exactly what weeds it kills, how much to use of the product, what happens if you get in your eyes. All the information is right on the back of the label here. And even this $4 product here has that label. And you'll find that on any type of weed killer that you purchase.
Do some damage to somebody.
That's the one. That's the one. But also that one right there, you have to mix it. You got to dilute it. But it has directions right on the back of the label. It tells you exactly, like if you're trying to kill blackberry bushes, you got to put a little bit more in to kill blackberry bushes. Blackberry bushes are pretty hardy, really hard to kill. But if you're killing, like, let's say, dandelions or weeds growing in your sidewalk, doesn't take much. That one right there makes, I believe it says, 22 gallons?
21.
21 gallons of product, and that's quite a bit. That's about 4,800 feet of area that you can, with that one bottle.
And Byron, this is Home Depot's brand?
That's Home Depot's brand.
And it's 48. How much was it?
No. The Roundup in that size is $48. That was $15. So quite the savings. Oh, no, that's the bigger bottle. Let's see, that's a bigger, you see it's got the handle. Oh. Yeah, that's the bigger one. But it's funny because I used to always use Roundup, and like any weed killer, if you use it constantly year after year, the plants kind of get immune to it. And so when I went to Home Depot, they suggested, hey, you should try our brand. It's just as effective as the Roundup, but it's a lot less expensive. And I've had success with it. I've had no problems with it. And the beautiful thing about it is it's 41%, and it's commercial grade, but it doesn't cost commercially as much as Roundup. Yes, sir.
Another good place for that stuff is the farm supply store, because they sell it
In bulk, exactly. And, but you know, most landscapers like us, I mean, you know, like the smaller ones, you know, I have about 60 clients now, but we don't use it that much where, you know, and then storing it. You know, it could be a nightmare storing that stuff if kids got into it or if someone got into it and didn't mix it properly. So you really got to be careful.
1 minute.
Yeah.
And,
1 minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
And yeah, fertilizers, I think I've asked this before, versus the fertilizer / weed killer thing for lawns.
Right.
What's your stance on both in one bag versus whatever?
Well, you know what? My rule of thumb is it's better to do one thing at a time. Like if you're gonna fertilize and you have a moss problem, you kill the moss first with one product, and then you come back with another product and kill the dandelions. Now they do have Scott's makes a combination one, but it's, you know, you don't get the full effect like you would if you just concentrated on one thing. And matter of fact, Home Depot had a big sale on Scott's Fertilizer. It was on the weed and feed, and then after you got it established and you killed all the weeds, then they had the regular fertilizer that they wanted you to follow up after 8 weeks. And most people are not that disciplined to kill one thing and then come back 2 months later and then put the other stuff on. But it was a killer sale. It was like you buy one bag and you get the other bag for free. Yeah.
Can you just bring in a bunch of dirt and go over the moss and then just reseed and move on? Or,
You can do that, but at the end of the day, it won't be real effective. I mean, short term it'll be effective, but eventually, no, it won't drain properly because the moss creates kind of like a rug, kind of like a mat. And eventually you're gonna have that problem again. And so that's why people will thatch, get all the thatch out, bring some soil in, and then overseed with grass seed fertilizer. That's the best way to do it.
Okay, you kill the moss,
Yes.
and now you've got to get a thatcher, right, to get the moss out of your lawn.
Yes.
And then after you do that, then you can lay your seed.
No, exactly. But you might have to, depending on how bad your moss problem is, you might have to bring in some soil.
Yeah.
Okay, yes. But I've had people, they didn't have that bad of a moss problem, and what they did is they had me fertilize over a year's time, and there was no more moss. And where the moss died off, the grass grew in its place without even grass seed. That's if it's not that bad. Okay, I got to cut it off. And then the last thing I was going to say is once you do get the moss out and you fertilize, you got to get on a fertilizing program where you fertilize at least 3 times a year. And it's got to have some moss killer in it every time you fertilize. Then you don't have the moss problem no more. Thank you. Byron Jordan with Jordon Services.